So yesterday, while Apple was unveiling all of their new products coming to the world, the iPhone, the Apple Watch Ultra, the AirPods, all the different things, there were a few other things happening in the background that we want to talk about today. So Sony released a camera, we had FUJIFILM release a camera, we had Sony release an update, and today I have no other than the man, the myth, the legend, Taurus here to... he's actually updated me on all this news. So this isn't stuff that I knew about because I was watching the keynote. So he told me about it. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people right quick before we jump into all the behind the scenes tech news that actually happened yesterday.
Yeah, man. My name is Taurus. I'm a local content creator here in the Metro DFW area. So just I like hooking up with my man because he's always teaching me something new. So yeah, that's all there is.
Well, it's funny because he said he likes teaching me something new, but he likes me teaching him something new, but he taught me a lot because I'm not on social media right now. I haven't been for the last, I don't know how many days. So a lot of this stuff I had no idea about. So all the things we're going to be talking about today are brought to you by him. So appreciate you, and I'm sure the audience appreciates you too. So let's start off with the smallest and go to the biggest. And I'll let you kind of take the reins on this because I literally just pulled up the page for the first time. But Sony actually released a new 4.0 update to the Sony FX3. And you have that installed, right?
I do. Yep.
Yeah, so tell me about some of the things that come with that new update and why there would have been one in the first place.
Yeah, so the update, when you hear about it, you're excited. You're like, oh, snap, another update. Well, first of all, can we just say that, Sony loves the FX3? Man, they keep dropping updates. I feel bad for those of y'all who own the and the FX3 I don't have as many cameras as Joe, but I've had a few, and the FX3 is by far my favorite camera. So I love the fact that Sony just keep releasing updates for it because it's over 2 years old now, and they keep freshing it. So that's pretty cool. The A7S3, which is basically the same camera just in a different body, they don't get any love, and most of them are pretty. But basically, this update is probably the most boring out of all the updates. The update is literally just a firmware enhancement that allows this camera to be compatible with a new app. That's it. Nothing else.
Oh, so really?
Yeah. So there's nothing in this update. You're not gonna get any new feature. Now, at the very bottom, it says stability enhancements. That's their buzzwords software buzzword for saying we didn't do anything else, but we needed to add another line item, so it looks like we did some stuff. So there's nothing else on this, but this camera now is compatible with a brand new app that was dropped yesterday. The app is called Monitor and Control. Technically, it's called Monitor and CTRL, but that's short for control. So
okay, so technically we have another new thing. So tell me, have you had a chance to play with the app at all? See what it's about?
So if you guys remember the last update, the 3.0 update, that was a big update. It brought things like DCI 4K, it brought anamorphic, and some other little goodies that was pretty cool. But one of the big things it brought was it made the camera compatible with another app called, I think it's called the Creator app, Sony Creator app. So we had that app, that's a brand new app, but now we have this other app. And I was really thinking why did Sony feel the need to bring us a new application? This application already seems like it's doing a fine job. It can do a lot of things. But really what this Monitor and Control app is more geared to being able to use your mobile device as a monitor, as an actual monitor. So there's a lot of professional monitoring tools. And by the way, the Creator app has some monitoring tools. This one really just kind of kicks it into high gear. Even the layout, you can tell they really want you to have the option to be able to use this as a monitoring app. So that's really what it is. So you want me to go into it and just kind of say some of the things you can do on this thing?
Yeah, so I'm actually screen recording right now, and I'm showing some of the monitor and control features. And so What's really cool about this is it looks like, like he said, it looks like a completely new app, Creator's app. Or Creator's Cloud is where it's showing me all the stuff. So you get false color, histogram, waveforms, you get focus control, you get custom bar for focusing. You also get adjustments of color settings. These are all just a few highlights. The three main features of the Monitor and Control app: high flexibility shooting style. use your smartphone or tablet as a wireless second screen for your camera to set up and control the camera remotely. Precise exposure monitoring. Large screen can serve you as a waveform monitoring box color histogram, supporting most precise exposure. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying this, but basically it supports for the FX3 and the FX30 right now. That's what it says at the bottom. So it doesn't look like this app works with everything yet, which does kind of suck. You get Intuit focus controls, which obviously just means what it is. So you get all the access to the focus controls. But for people like me and you, this is very nice because you do on a Sony FX3, I own a Sony FX3, which is actually what I'm recording on now. And then also cameras like the Sony FX30. So I can control both these two cameras from that app. What I think is really cool about this app is that it's going to replace other apps that I've used before that were not as good but do the same thing. And I'm trying to pull it up here, but I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Monitor Plus app. It's actually right here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that on the screen, but the first one is the Monitor Plus app. And when you go in here, you can literally see like your camera controls, right? And so if I go in, like I can actually tap my camera right now, and we'll see if it'll let me in because I'm recording on the Sony FX3 now. But what this actually does is literally all the same things that now Sony's native app does. So you can actually do things like control your focus. You can do things like change your aperture, like completely manipulate your camera. The only thing that I don't like about, so here we go right here. So right in here, you can see we have access to all the controls that we would need. I'm sorry, I know this is a little bit weird because it's showing my camera, but
The Inception.
yeah, you get all the features that you would need on here. So you got false color, you got focus racking at the bottom. Let's see if I can turn this sideways for you guys. And this is all within the Monitor Plus app. You get all these features, but now it looks like you get all of those in this new, what is it called? Monitor and Control app, which is awesome. So I think this is going to be really, really cool for people like me, people like you. So does that wrap everything up with the FX3/30 update?
Yeah, I'll just say that. I have the Monitor Plus app as well. It is a paid app, but
it is paid. How much does it cost?
Man, it's been a while since I downloaded it. I want to say maybe $10 is what I feel like the number is, but I could be wrong. One of y'all can spot check me in the app.
Wait, so just to make sure, you say you bought, is this a brand new app or they just, like this has been out for a while, they just made huge improvements?
No. So there's a Monitor Plus app, right? That's been around for a while.
Oh, Monitor Plus, yes.
Yeah. The Monitor Plus app has a lot of these features, but it's a paid app and it's third party. It's not by Sony. This new Monitor and Control app is directly by Sony, and it basically gives you all these features for free. And it's a first party app, obviously, so it's a better support you would think. From what I've seen though, I actually prefer this new app even over the paid Monitor Plus app, and the paid Monitor Plus app is actually really good. So that's saying a lot. Sony, I think, Sony is known for making really trash apps when it comes to their cameras. This is the first time I've used. Well, this is the second time. The Creator app is actually pretty decent too, but this one is even better, I would say.
So another update on this really quick before we move on is it actually does have support for the Sony FX3 as well. I do see that here. Also, I'm always curious. It says you can do tethering, and it says it to the iPad, but I don't think that really works because I don't know. We'll see. But I know you could do that. The only way, basically, there's something called the Act Soon, and that was made because you can't natively tether. And so when they say tethering, I'm always like, is it real tethering or not? And for you guys who don't know what tethering means, that means that you can directly connect your phone to your camera and use it as a monitor through the port on your phone. So that's what tethering means. I don't think it says tethering here is supported, but to Apple products, but Apple products don't support tethering, so I'm not sure how that actually works. All right, so while we're on the topic of Sony, unless you have something else, we could talk about the new Sony camera that just came out as well, which I'm not sure how to pronounce.
Yeah, Neither am I. Let me just drop one more thing, and then we can move.
Yeah.
The new app right now it supports the 3 cameras that you named: the FX6, the FX3, the FX30, right out the box. Due to this update. Now they have said that they're going to update a few other apps that they've specifically named, like the A7S3, the A1, and I think the A9. A couple others they've said. So that is coming. We don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. But for now, just those 3 apps. So that's it.
Perfect, awesome. Okay, so Burano,
Burano.
Yeah, something like that.
Burano, I don't know.
However, so this camera, I did check out a small video. I only watched it for the release video for a few seconds. So for you guys who are wondering about this camera, if you're watching this video, you're probably never going to purchase this camera. This is not a camera for us. This is a camera for big movies, like literally big movies. So this goes in between the Sony FX3, which is used for movies, and also the Sony Venice. The Venice is used all over Hollywood. The Sony Venice was shot with, they used it for the Joker. Like what we all see as like an impressive movie because of its color, because of its lighting. That was shot with the Sony Venice. I want to say Dark Knight Rises or something like that. Batman, that movie was shot with the Venice. All these crazy movies that we see are shot on these huge cameras. Now this guy comes along and fits right in the middle. A few things that I do know about it is that it has autofocus, which is crazy because Hollywood does not use autofocus, if you guys don't know. They have someone who's on set who is pulling focus, they have another guy who's exchanging lenses, and they're trying to make sure that the lenses that they're using has the same focus throw so that the focus puller could pull focus better. These are all things that you would see on a Hollywood set, but autofocus is not one of them, which is interesting. Yeah,
I really feel like they had that like solo or very small team documentary in mind with this camera, just based on like the price point, based on where it sits, and based on the features. I think they have a very small team or like solo, docu shooter in mind. I think is what this camera is going to be geared towards.
Yeah, it looks so good. Honestly, excuse this little ugly lens I have on here. I'm going to take it off. But the body style of it looks very similar to like the FX6. It looks very, very similar. If you look at it side by side, I have it up. It almost looks the same, honestly. So I'm curious of like how much bigger is it than this guy right here, the Sony FX6, because they do look similar. But it is full frame, which is nice. And you do get a lot of these, I don't know, just like Hollywood features. I'm going to be honest. See, look, yeah, we have the autofocus here. I did not really watch I didn't really do a lot of homework on this. I do know, yeah, it says it right here. I saw that it also had 8.6K sensor, which is nuts. Yeah,
it's crazy.
And it had dynamic range of up to 16 stops, and then you got dual native ISO at 800 and 3200. Which at 3200, that does kind of suck because like with our cameras, the Sony FX3, you can go up to 12,800, which is what makes these cameras so crazy to use. So you don't get that on here, which is a little bit like, why didn't you do that? You can pull off the PL mount, which gives you like, I think it says it takes off like 2 pounds off the entire setup, which is also really nice. So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about this guy?
No, man. I mean, it's a beast on the camera. And I think the price point is going to be right about that 20 to 25K price point. So obviously that FX9 is sitting at 10K. So this is more than double the price of the FX9. Not anywhere near where the Venice is. So it's sitting right between that FX9 and that Venice price point. So, it does do 4K. It's 8K. And then it's 6K 60 frames per second, and then 4K 120 frames per second. But I think when you're doing that 4K 120, it goes into Super 35 mode. So that's that crop APS-C sensor there. So yeah, man, it's an exciting camera. Like the feature set is mind blowing for the price point. And like you said, some of the things that it has just doesn't even make sense. Of course, you got your variable ND filter in there. You have all the basic stuff, SDI and all the ports are there. But then it has it gives you some of the feature you would come to expect in a camera like this, which is made for more of that solo shooter.
Yeah, like in-body stabilization. That's another one. It has...
That's a weird one. That's so weird that it has IBIS in there, right?
Yeah.
Like such a big camera, you typically don't need IBIS because you have the weight of the camera.
The FX6 doesn't have IBIS because one, it just fights with... I forgot why, but like whenever you're doing like gimbal movements or like focusing and things like that, like you just don't want IBIS in these cameras. And so I'm interested to see how Hollywood is going to react to this camera.
Yeah, and it's because of that feature, IBIS, and the autofocus feature, which makes me conclude that Sony absolutely is shooting for that docu-series kind of person, right? Somebody, a team, a small group of people, or a person who's out in the field doing documentary work. They need to be able to move the camera around and shoot on the go, at handheld. I really feel like that's who Sony is shooting for on this camera. Otherwise, the feature set doesn't make sense because it has everything a cinema camera would have, and then it has things that a hybrid camera like this has on there as well. So it's an interesting one. We'll see how it does.
I think you're gonna see this at like really big sporting event games, like them replacing. Like this is gonna be a great sports, like high-end sports camera to use because of that autofocus, and then 8K and all the other different features that you're able to do with this. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great camera. Again, I'm just not honestly as interested in it because I know that for someone like me, I'm never gonna buy something like this. Like it's just yeah,
because you're gonna for like what a lot of what like YouTubers and content creators do, that camera really gets in the way. You know what I mean? Like it increases your workflow. First of all, it's like we're always trying to be as efficient as possible. Once you get that monster of a camera, your workflow necessarily. You gotta have a lot more to do. You have a lot more to think about. And a lot of times to really use these cameras effectively, you really need...
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to number 2, and then we're actually... second before last, and then we're actually going to talk about... I wanted to get into a little bit of the iPhone camera stuff that was talked about. But this one is one that I'm going to let you fully take control over. I will read some specs out because I have it if you need it. But... FUJIFILM also released a new camera yesterday, you said?
Yeah. They announced it yesterday. I don't know if it's pre-order. It's ready for pre-order right now.
Yeah. So it's have you checked up on some of the features on this guy yet?
Not deeply, but I'm a little bit aware of like what the specs are. The specs are pretty insane for the camera and for the price point.
Yeah, so I'm on the page now. I'm sure you guys can see. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip all the way down to like overview or specifications. There we go. Let's go to specifications. Okay, so when it comes to video shooting, because that's what I want to see, it can do... Wow, this is a lot of stuff. Okay, so continuous shooting... Movie recording, here we go. Oh wow, it can do ProRes 422 HQ in body. It can do all different flavors of ProRes in body, which is crazy. It does 8K, wow, at a 17:9, at 23 frames per second. It also can do 8K in 30. Wow, it can do 8K in different file formats as well. It looks like you can get 5.8K. You can go up to 30. It looks on there as well. 5.4K, you can go up to 30. And then 4.8K, it looks like you can go all the way up to still 30. And it doesn't look like you get anything higher than 30 until you get to 4K DCI. And you get that at 60. So you get that also on the Sony FX3. You get at DCI 4K, I think you can go up to 60 frames per second as well. So as far as feature goes, yeah, this is pretty nuts. Let me see if you get 120 4K.
You don't.
Okay, so you don't get 120 4K, which is interesting. I feel like if you have 8K, why don't you give... Yeah, I'm not saying 120 until you get down here into full HD. That's interesting. But
yeah, and I think that's a consequence of the high megapixel count, because this thing does what, like 102 megapixels?
Yeah, 102 megapixels, which is crazy.
Yeah, so it's like a trade-off, right? Like because of that 102 megapixel, you can easily do 8K, right? But now you're gonna get hit with that frame rate. Like you're not gonna be able to have as high frame rates without pushing the price point a lot higher. So there's still like a technological issue there, right? That's one of the reasons why like Sony could easily give us 4K 120, because these cameras is only 12 megapixels, right? So the lower the megapixel count is a lot easier to get the frame rate higher. So that's kind of.
So it looks like on this camera, this is a hybrid camera for sure.
Absolutely.
Because like you're getting crazy autofocus. They're promoting, that you get these high bursts, which again, I'm not a photographer. So 8 frames per second at high speed bursts. I'm sure that's crazy, especially depending on, based on the megapixels you're getting for each of those photos. What is really, really cool is you get 120 frames per second display, which is really, really nice. So if you're looking through the EVF, that is playing back at 120 frames per second. As far as I'm sure what they're saying is a refresh rate. So like you're gonna get like a higher quality screen. So like if you're using an iPhone, they call this like the Apple Pro Motion. That's when it looks super duper smooth. Basically, you're getting that in the viewfinder, is what it seems like. I could be wrong and reading this wrong, but that sounds like something that a photographer would definitely be interested in. 5.3. Oh, so it's saying that you can shoot up to 5.3 frames per second before you get any blackout, which is also really important for sports photographers who are trying to catch those really quick moments, whether it's like a track and field events or just football, basketball, etc. So this is an interesting camera. I know a lot of people really like Fujifilm's colors, and so I can see why they would come out with something like this. You do get obviously log and high dynamic range with this camera as well, up to 14 stop. So it's not a Sony FX3, but it's a pretty good camera. But the thing with the Sony FX3 is that you don't get all the photo features. So that's what makes a camera like this like way better. And obviously like both of those cameras are just for two different people. So you got anything else you want to comment on when it comes to this guy over here, the GFX 102?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I guess it seems like people who need to get this camera, like I think if you're photo first, like if you're like primarily you're a photographer, but you want to have the ability to shoot like really good quality videos here and there, I think that's the target market for this thing. It's $7,500, which is high. So I don't know, for me personally, if I was a photographer, I would probably be looking more at like the Sony A1, right? Like, cause like that, I get pretty much a lot of what this camera is offering, and I can still get 4K 120. You lose on the megapixel, you get half the megapixels, but I mean like 102, like does anybody really need that much, pixels?
That's a lot. Yeah.
So
it's a little bit overkill.
I think this is very special. This is a very specialty niche. Like I'm sure there's somebody out there like who can justify that 102 megapixel count. And if you're that person, this camera is absolutely for you.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's move over to our last thing for today's episode. We're going to be talking about the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and we're specifically going to be talking about the cameras on this guy because they did release some pretty interesting updates yesterday. I do want to...
Oh, hey, Joe, sorry. Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I do have an early prototype of the iPhone 15. Just wanted to put that out there.
What?
I'm kidding.
Oh, I was... Dang. I was like, dude, what are you... Where are we remote podcasting for? We're gonna make some content,
right?
Big YouTuber over here got the embargo release.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. One feature that I do think is gonna benefit the cameras. I mean, this isn't like a camera specific feature. Is that on the side? And let me take my phone out. So I upgrade every single year so that I can make content for you guys. But on the side, you have the volume button, like on my phone, where you have the volume and then you have the mute switch. On the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, you actually get an action button here which was adopted from the Apple Ultra Watch Mark 1. And basically, this is going to be really, really cool because you can now press this button, and as soon as you press the button, it could do a series of different things. Record a video in a certain file format for you. Take a photo. You can have it do a shortcut, a series shortcut. You can have it do a bunch of different things. And so I think that this is really going to be cool because it's going to help you get to shooting quicker if you are someone who uses your phone for capturing. And everybody does. People shoot with their phone more than they shoot with any camera, period. It doesn't even matter if you do this full time. So having something like that gets you there really, really quick is really, really nice.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's jump into it says a camera that captures your wildest images. So I'm not going to go too much into this. You guys can see it on my shorts page, but I'm always when they show these photos that I have on screen, and Taurus, if you're wondering where I am, I'm just on Apple's website. They have an iguana and it's perfectly lit. I'm like, dude, who's going to go to a studio and perfectly light something like this for an iPhone photo? You're just not going to do something like that. But so you do get still the same 48 megapixel on your main camera. So they didn't really bump that up. I was thinking that they would. It's not a big deal. No one needs more than 48 megs on their phone. But you do get slight adjustments this year to the actual cameras themselves. There wasn't anything big that I recognize. I want to hear kind of your opinion. But in my opinion, there wasn't really anything new. So with the telephoto, you do get 5x now instead of before. I think it was 3x. So it's 120 mil. So that is a big difference, I guess. Did you notice anything really different this year?
No, not for me. I think it was a lot of the same. Apple's really good at that marketing, and they're going to say this is the best camera ever and all that jazz. But for the most part, I don't think there was anything mind-blowing here on the camera side.
Yeah. So let me see. There was, as far as software, there were a few different things. So, oh my gosh. Here we go. This is huge for cameras. The USB-C port on the new iPhone. Yeah. I am so excited about this because as someone who reviews the iPhone every year when they come out with it, one of the things that I go out and do is I shoot in ProRes. I use stuff like Filmic Pro so that I can get a log image, which we're going to talk about because Apple now has a new log feature natively in the app. But whenever you're shooting in these huge file formats, literally, if you're shooting 5 minutes, you just shot 15 gigabytes, 20 gigabytes of footage. Now, for me to get that off my phone, it would literally take a minute per gigabyte pretty much because the lightning port is so slow. So basically, I would just not be able to use my phone for a while because I'm just going to sit it down and let it transfer through the lightning port to my computer and go do something else while it does that. Now, we no longer have that because we get up to 20x faster transfer speeds, which is amazing. Super excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Now, I don't want to understate it. It's definitely a great thing that we have USB 3.0 speeds as opposed to USB 2.0 speeds. But it just kind of makes me wonder why Apple, it seemed like they just wanted to give us a little bit, right? Because it's if it's USB-C, you can give us Thunderbolt. You're literally didn't they invent Thunderbolt? Thunderbolt that's their protocol.
Yeah.
So it's the company that invented the Thunderbolt protocol, which gives you something 40 megabits per second.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah, it's giving us literally USB 3.0 speeds, which is great. It is 20 times faster, but it's come on, Apple. It's USB-C. You can do more than that,
Yeah,
so
and what's really cool about what he's saying, just to give a little bit more context, if they would have done things like that, now we can use our phone as an actual 4K, 8K monitor directly through the USB-C port. Right. No, extra cables needed. So because they didn't do that, we don't get features like that, which I know why they did do it. It's because their hand got forced this year to do USB-C. They had to do it and they weren't ready yet. I think they were going to do something a little bit more special, right? Like the Thunderbolt port or something better, even 40 megabit transfer speeds wirelessly. I don't know. But I think that because their hand got forced, they just had to hurry up and make this transition really, really quick. And so it's 3.0, like you said, not even 3.2, which is what most things are on right now. So
Yeah, and I don't know, it could be 3.2, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that. But it's at least 3.0.
Yeah, for sure. So we really excited about that. I almost forgot about it. Now, there are some other features. I'm trying to see if I can find them here. But one of the other things that they did do is give you like some more camera things. And it came down to like log or something like that. Did you see that?
No, tell me about it.
Oh, here's another thing. Spatial video capture. So now it uses 2 of your back cameras to actually give you like spatial video, which is really cool. Like it's like a VR or AR, I'm sorry, I may be getting the words wrong, experience now that you get. But what's really, really funny is that this really is only available when you buy their $4,000 Apple Vision Pro headset. To my understanding, that's the only way you've seen people using it so far. So these are
basically a setup. They're trying to they're like, get this phone now. When we release the headset, you're going to feel like you have to have the headset.
Yeah.
With your phone.
Yes, which is like obviously very much an Apple thing. I'm looking around. I don't see them this year. The new specs that come with that, like the log that they were talking about. Let's see if I can find it. No, it doesn't show it. So in that keynote though, I will talk about it. They showed that you get something. Oh, here it is. Yeah, you get log video recording. So you get ProRes recording. Oh, you also get 4K 60 now. I don't believe you have 4K 60 ProRes before. It only went up to like 30. But now you get ProRes video up to 4K 60. You get log video recording and Academy color encoding system, which is ACES, by the way. For you guys who don't know about ACES, this is kind of a really, really big deal because in DaVinci Resolve, this is what like you would grade literally movies in. Like not you would, they grade movies in DaVinci Resolve in the ACES workflow. This is crazy that you now get these features right within the iPhone. Color, like the color, the log. I am very, very interested about the log video recording. The reason why I'm interested in it is because typically whenever I'm color grading, I will take a camera, put it in DaVinci Resolve, and I know what camera it is, so I do a log to Rec 709 conversion. But with this being log from the iPhone, like there isn't a Rec 709 conversion made for something like that yet. So I'm just curious of like, what type of log is this? Like how much log, like how flat am I actually getting the picture profile? So for now, I'm just guessing that once I get the phone and I do my test, I'm just gonna have to go in there and basically do my own grading to do a Rec 709 conversion and then add in additional color grading to make it look like I wanna look. But yeah. I'm not complaining. I'm happy about all of these different things. It says action mode up to 2.8 or 60 frames per second. Very minor updates this year, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it makes me wonder too, like why Apple felt the need to do log, right? When they have the ProRes format. I mean, they invented ProRes, so it's interesting that they decided to put log, which is like, you know, kind of somewhere in between ProRes and actual RAW. So that's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see like how that grades.
And something that I also noticed, unless I missed it this year, this was the first time that they didn't, during the camera part, show the iPhone with Filmic Pro. So I'm like, did they move away from that partnership? Because Filmic Pro was bought out by a different company. And now with you being able to have log and ProRes directly from the camera, are they just trying to steal features from Filmic Pro? Because like that has been the Pro Creator app to get the most out of your phone for video recording before. So they didn't really show much of that this year. They didn't show any of it on stage. Typically they either have it shown like in some type of commercial or in the photos or images. I really didn't see anything Filmic Pro this year, which was very interesting.
Yeah, and so something funny, right? I don't know if you've noticed this. This might be a little controversial. I think it's funny. I'm gonna say it. So, no, it's not that bad. I hope it's not bad. But so since 2019, all right, I've noticed something with Apple events, especially when it comes to the photo. Every time they do the photo demo, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna know this. You're gonna know this, Joe. Back in the day, like, for those of us who have more melanin in our skin, those of us with a darker complexion, like, a lot of these cameras were really bad. Like, imagine this, like a darker person in a group with like more pale skinned people, right? Lighter skinned.
Yeah.
A lot of times the exposure was always bad when you had more melanin on your skin. Like, the cameras just didn't know how to capture, darker shades people, right? But since 2015, I think Apple really put a lot of effort into that. Or sorry, 2019. So if you really go back to their 2019 keynote and watch, you'll notice like they have a lot of image of like darker complexion people as their demo image. And so now in more recent years, it's usually like the first image they'll show you, like when they try to show off their camera, is like a really dark person. And then they have more and more like dark skinned people. So I think it's like a flex. They're like, hey, we figured this out,
Yeah,
So,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. I actually made a comment about that yesterday, talking about how, because Mark S. Brownlee pointed this out like perfectly in a video where he talked about now they're just now making, presets in Lightroom. Like Adobe's also getting on board. Apple is working on making their cameras look better with darker skin tones because they've been trained and treated for lighter skin tones. But so I am obviously being a darker individual. Excited to be that as well.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, you couldn't tell. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that concludes everything for today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm not sure how long we've been rolling. It's been about 36 or 35 minutes so far, but all these updates were awesome. I'm excited about them. I am going to be getting the iPhone like literally as soon as it releases. And so if you guys are interested on some content about that, you can definitely go ahead and subscribe. Check out the channel. I typically every year make a full playlist for each phone because I make a lot of content. Like I make one just about the built-in camera app. Then I make one with additional apps. Then I do quite a few things. So definitely look forward to that because as soon as it releases, I'll have it in my hand for the public. But until next time, if you're interested in some more interesting conversations with other guests, you can definitely check out this video somewhere on the screen.